Hello, how is your day? I hope your day is going on well. And here at Now Tell Us, ours is going on well. And we are going to have a guest who is going to come and tell us some great things. That's obvious at Now Tell Us. And I'll ask you to go and check nowtellus.com for previous episodes and future episodes. But today, I'm not going to take one more minute because there's a lot that we are going to hear from someone who's going to come and tell us something. And today, in the show, we have a guest who's known as Stephen Gregg. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, and we are honored to have you in our show. And you're going to tell us how to become a pro in our business. I like that.
That's right. That's
Mm.
right.
But before we go into that, we love stories and especially personal stories. Let us know who is Stephen to start with.
Sure, sure. Again, my name is Stephen Gregg. I live in Florida right now, but I used to live in California a few years, about a year and a half ago. And, I've been in direct sales and in business ever since I was 18. I'm now 54. So I've been doing this a long time. And that's all I've ever done. I've never really had a job, never really had a salary or anything like that. I've been in direct sales, learning how to generate my own business for a long time. And, when I first got into this space, I failed, just like anyone else. I failed trying to figure it out. And for the first 12 years, I had a big problem that I wasn't coachable, I wasn't humble, I wasn't teachable. I was trying to figure it out on my own. And because of that, I failed big time for 12 years.
Mm,
And then finally, I got together with some mentors that taught me the right way to do business. They taught me the skills of professional selling. They've taught me the skills of networking and how to meet people, excuse me, and build relationships and then help those people, want to do business with you. So
mhm,
from that point, I started, getting into sales and doing really well at it and, did very well financially. And then I was able to start training people and teaching people how to do what I did.
mm,
And I did that for probably about the last 20 years. I've helped a lot of people. I've trained probably well over 30,000 people all over the world and really helped a lot of people go from having no mindset, no belief, no confidence in themselves, no experience, and then taking them through a process so they could actually become successful at whatever they wanted to do. And so that's a little bit about my story, but then also my why is I run an online ministry. I teach the word of God to pastors all over the world, and that's my why. That's kind of like my little baby of why I do what I do. So
mm.
I wanted to, yeah. So that's a little bit about me.
Oh, that's interesting. First and foremost, it's good to be connected to a brother. Always good to know that there is someone who believes in a higher power above there and lives all their life and depends upon that higher power. So
Yeah,
that's good. I'm honored to be connected to you on that aspect.
thank you.
The second one is going to someone out there who's surprised, because I'm surprised also. All your life, you tell us that you've not gone to look for a job, you've depended upon your own business. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what happened is when I was young, my mom used to work for a big electronics company. It has initials HP. I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but you can figure that out. They were a big electronic company, and I saw her as a manager get walked out of a position because
Mm,
in California there's an area called Silicon Valley, which is where all the Facebook and all the technology is in California.
yeah.
And when we lived over there, all the older people they basically walked out and brought in all these college students to start building Silicon Valley. So my mom was a manager, and I saw her getting pretty much kicked out of her job, and that's why we left San Jose. We moved to Los Angeles area, and
Hmm.
from that moment on, I said I will never ever work a job for someone else and build a family and be dependent on a system to be able to help me create my income. So
Mm,
that was the day I made the decision that I was going to be in direct sales. I was going to be in some type of my own business. Now, remember, I'm 18 years old. I have no experience.
yeah.
I'm insecure. I was really shy. I had no ability, no money, no nothing. But the one thing I did have was a big dream that I believed in.
Mm,
I had a burning desire that I was never going to work for someone else again. And that alone is what got me into the position where I started to, start my own business in
Mm.
some way.
So, at what level did you get in your school?
High school.
High school is all you got to.
Right.
That's
High
interesting.
school. I
So,
got a
what,
I got a high school diploma.
so what's your perspective on the on the motto or the theme of go to school, get a degree, and get something stable?
Get a good
What do you
job and
say
all
of
that.
that? What do you say of
Um,
that?
well, I think that's there's a part in the world that's necessary
Mm-hmm.
because there's people that have to work jobs. There's people that their brains are connected and wired where they have to work a fast food restaurant, or they
Mm-hmm.
work at a company, or they have to be an attorney or a doctor. And there's certain professions that you have to go to school and get a good job.
Mm-hmm.
That's a profession that's necessary for certain people. Certain people are wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't one of them. And so there's an entire group of people that are called entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
that want freedom. For me, I'd rather make less money and have time freedom for myself and be able to spend with my kids than to make more money and be away from them for 8, 9, 10 hours a day.
Makes sense.
So it just depends on the person. So
Mm-hmm.
is there a place for go to school, get good grades, get a good job? Yeah, there is a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Just as entrepreneurship isn't for everyone.
Mm. Now, I noticed something when we are getting connected is that we have something in common. Maybe not one. So far, we've identified that we are brethren.
Yes, yes,
The second thing that I identified with you is that you're into graphic design. Tell us about that. I'm into
yes.
graphic design myself. I finished high school and did a certificate in graphic design. I also did computer design, web design. I've done all those kind of things. So tell us a bit about that.
Sure, sure. About 10 years ago, when I started doing my own business, I started hiring graphic designers to help me with my branding, help me with my logos and stuff like that. And it would be really frustrating because I would ask them to do something and they would do something totally different. And then they didn't really make my website or make any of my marketing materials look cohesive because they didn't have a sales background. They would just do what they're comfortable with. And so I would be the one correcting them and telling them what to do and what not to do, and that got so frustrated after a while, wasting money. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to hire my own team. So I went looking for some people that can do some of the work based on my instructions.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching them about some of the things about graphic design, and I put together a team, and that's grown to now about 9 people, and we're one of the number one companies on Upwork that do graphic design all around the world. And then I also brought it offline to help entrepreneurs. So the reason why graphic design was so important is because one, I wanted to build a system to where I can control the design and the direction of my team. But I'm also one of the only graphic designers that have a marketing background and a sales background, so I can add that aspect to it along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is it graphic design, it's marketing, it's sales, it has all that mentality behind the graphic design. So it's not just graphic design.
Okay. And if I may ask, when you went into sales, what field? I mean, what industry did you become a sales person in?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I started in car sales. So when I was 18 years old, I got into car sales. I did really well there for about 3 years. But since then, I've been through many
You
different
say,
businesses.
are you saying 8 years?
I'm sorry,
Eight
18
years?
years old.
Oh, 18.
18 years
Okay, I got
old.
that wrong. Thank
No,
you very
18 years old.
much.
When I
Okay.
was young, when I was 18 years old, I started in car sales,
Uh-huh.
and then I got into major appliance sales. I sold health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
I got into a company called Aflac, a real estate. That's an insurance company. I did a lot of multi-level marketing, like network marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did multiple companies there, and that's where I, did very, very well financially in the network marketing direction.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in timeshare sales. I've done a lot of different types of sales over the years, but I think my favorite has been, definitely dealing with individuals and coaching, and working with people that are starting their own business but they're struggling. Maybe they don't know exactly what to do to grow their business. So I teach them the skill of networking, because networking nowadays, especially with everybody getting on the internet, is one of the most important skills a person can develop.
Mm.
If they develop their networking skills, no matter what the economy is doing, they can always grow their business.
And no matter in what field they are, then
Well, it doesn't matter what field if they have to go out and generate their own business.
Okay.
So there's some fields that all they have to do is advertise, and then they can get customers.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dealing with entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs don't have a lot of money. They don't have the background to do advertising. They don't have the financial means to be able to have a big budget to spend money on Facebook ads and graphics and stuff like that and marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to depend on going to meet their ideal prospect and convert that lead into a sale so that they can generate more business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've perfected. So I teach that to a lot of people.
Mm. And what are the main things that I should be good at, even when I'm going to build those relationships or networking, as we are saying? What are the
Yeah, great.
main ones
Sure,
that
sure.
I
Well,
should?
one of the things I teach is what's called the 7 money making activities. So
7
there's
money making activities.
Yeah, there's 7 money making activities that a person has to become. I actually let me step back a little bit. I
Okay.
actually created I invented the formula for success
Oh,
in direct sales. That's a pretty bold statement.
that's bold.
Yes. So let me tell you what the formula is.
Yeah.
It's called 3 C's equals M square.
Okay. Now we are
So
going into the.
yeah, yeah, so it's kind of like Einstein's theory of relativity,
Uh-huh.
E equals mc squared. This is 3 C's equals m squared.
Three
And,
C's
and I'll
equals
and
M
I'll
squared.
break it down. Yeah, I'll break it down for you if you like.
Yeah, sure. We will be very
Sure,
glad to hear
sure.
it broken down.
Yeah, the first C that a person has to become, if they're going to be an entrepreneur or any type of business or sales, they have to become competent.
Okay.
Competent. Now the key is competent at what? Because that's where the problem is. What do you have to become competent at?
Mm-hmm.
So here's what they are. That's where the 7 money making activities come in. So
Okay.
these are the 7 money making activities you have to become competent at.
Okay,
Number
before we go
one,
into the 7, now
yes, yes,
let's deal with the 3 C's, and then we'll go back to the 7 money making
perfect, perfect. The first C is you have to become competent.
okay,
The second one is you have to become confident.
confident,
The third is you have to be consistent,
consistent. Okay, wonderful.
and that creates momentum.
Momentum. Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down how they kind of work together through those 7 money making activities.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. So
Uh-huh.
the first money making activity that a person has to become competent at
Okay.
is they have to be competent at generating leads.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're out of leads, they're out of business.
Mm.
And that's where podcasting and networking and things like that comes in,
Yeah.
is knowing how to generate leads effectively.
Mm.
But the second, number 2, is more important than number 1, which is you have to know how to convert leads into prospects.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, here's the big thing, Anthony. A lot of people don't even know the difference between a lead and a prospect.
Yeah.
Do you know what's the difference? Let's guess. What's the difference between a lead and a prospect?
The difference between a lead and a prospect.
Yes.
I would think that a prospect is someone capable of being turned into a customer or client, whereas a lead is someone with a higher potential than a prospect. Am I right or wrong?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. See, and that's a great answer. But
Mhm.
see, this is where the problem is. A lot of people that I talk to,
Yeah.
almost everyone has a different answer to that. But I want to
Hmm.
give you and your audience the exact answer. So
Okay.
write this down. A lead is simply name and contact information.
Oh.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Uh-huh.
You so here's where the problem comes. A lead, if you open up your cell phone right now, Anthony, you probably have hundreds of leads in your phone.
Yeah.
If you go to your LinkedIn, you probably got hundreds of leads. On your
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, you got thousands of leads.
Mm-hmm.
So, but people are always chasing more leads. They think they need more leads.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what they need. They need to know how to convert leads into prospects.
Okay.
So here's the definition of the word prospect.
Then I got it wrong. I put it the other way around myself, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most people do. Don't feel bad. Almost everybody I deal with this does.
Okay.
So here's what a prospect is. A prospect is someone you've spoken to or communicated with
Mm-hmm.
that is open to learning more about what you do.
Mm-hmm.
They're open to learning more. That doesn't mean they're interested in what you do. They're
Yeah.
open to learning more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a salesperson has to become competent at. If they
Okay.
can convert leads into prospects, now the person's open to listen. Now you can do the third step, which is number 3, is you have to learn how to invite a prospect to your presentation or
Okay.
invite them to a meeting or invite them to a one-on-one strategy session.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to invite people to what you do.
Okay.
That's number three, the
Yeah.
invitation.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth money-making activity is you have to know how to make an effective presentation.
Okay.
Keyword, effective.
Effective.
Yeah, because some people make presentations that are not effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I consider as an effective presentation is when, I'm doing a presentation with someone and at the end of the presentation, the person says, wow, this makes sense. I want to do business with you. Here's my credit card. Let's get started.
Okay.
Or they say, no, thank you. It's not for me. And I'm okay with that. Either one. But see,
Mm-hmm.
an ineffective presentation looks like this. Well, let me think about it. Let me analyze it. Let me talk to my wife. Let me come up with these objections. They come up with all these excuses of why they don't do it. And that's because the sales professional or the business owner did not make an effective enough presentation to
Mm-hmm.
get a yes or a no.
Yeah.
So that's what they have to learn how to do, is how to make a presentation well enough to get a yes or a no, so they don't get a bunch of maybes and then have to follow up and chase people all around for the next 6 months.
And what are the aspects of an effective presentation, or do they come in the numbers that we are going to go into?
Yeah, well, they don't go in this, but when I'm coaching someone, when I'm working with someone one-on-one, I go through a 5-step process of how to make an effective presentation. It's a
Okay.
process, so it's not quite as easy to just kind of throw it out there like that. But I
Yeah.
do go through a system of how to make an effective presentation, because there are steps to it. But it
Okay.
takes an hour or so to show it to someone. But yeah, that's what I teach when I'm working with someone. I show them how to do that. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
Mm-hmm.
the fifth money making activity a person has to become competent at is how to follow up, how to close, and how to ask for the money.
Okay.
You've ever heard the saying, the fortune's in the follow up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's a lie. The fortune's not in the follow up,
Is where.
it's in the closing and asking for the money.
Okay.
That's where a lot of people have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to ask for the order. They don't know
Yeah.
how to get a person to say, yes, I want to join. Here's my credit card. So
Mm-hmm.
what they do is they follow up and follow up and follow up and follow up forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem.
So,
Yeah.
ju- in the following, don't we? Don't I imagine that in the follow up, I'm always asking, can you sign up? Or are there people who just follow up just for a cup of coffee and bye bye?
Right. Or here's the even worse than that. What they do is they follow up trying to get them to join after they've made a presentation to them.
Okay.
See, the way I look at it is this: if I make an effective presentation to you, it's not going to make more sense in a week to do business with me.
Uh-huh.
You got all the information right now. I've showed you exactly how it works. I told you what it takes to do business with me. Either it makes sense
Or
or
it
it
does.
doesn't make sense.
Okay.
You see, because if I call them back in a week, they're not going to be thinking about it for a week saying, yeah, now I think I do want to do business with Steven.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense. No one does that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I keep following up and following up, it makes you seem desperate.
Yeah.
And so then a business owner that's trained properly, they don't have the right posture. They don't have the right intention when they're servicing their customers and their
Mm-hmm.
prospects.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, that's why a lot of salespeople quit the business or they get out of sales, because they get tired of the chase of following up and following up and following up.
Mm-hmm.
If they would just learn the skill of how to do effective presentations,
Mm-hmm.
they would have to do a lot less follow up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
going to be
So
driven into the secret of the process? But maybe after we finish with these numbers.
yeah, well, I got to show you the process before going through the secret of it, because
Okay.
like I said, when I'm working with someone on stuff like this, I
Mm-hmm.
usually coach them for like 2 to 3 weeks. It's not a here's the secret. You know what I mean? What I
Yeah.
do is I kind of give the overview, and then when we work together, we go through the process of it, because it's not a take this pill and you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing. There's
Mm-hmm.
no here's the one secret and then that's all you need to do. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lie. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody tells you that, that's not true. It's a process. It's a
Okay.
learning. But I'm giving you the secret is right here. These 7 money making activities.
Yeah.
The sixth money making activity a person has to learn
Mm-hmm.
is they have to learn how to get their new person started correctly, or get testimonial videos from the
Okay.
client.
Okay.
Testimonials or videos are very important. Have
Mm-hmm.
you have you been to one of my websites or anything yet?
I've been to the website. Yeah, I've been there,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Did
I
you
saw
notice all the testimonials?
several videos there.
Yeah. The
Uh-huh.
reason why is because instead of me telling you how good I am, my customers tell you how good I am.
Okay.
And that makes it easier. So when a person wants to do business with you, to make them make the decision to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a big part of, the presentation. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the last part is getting referrals, knowing how to ask for referrals to get people to want to give them to you. So
Mm-hmm.
then you don't even have to do that much, prospecting anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So those seven money making activities are what a person has to become competent at.
Mm-hmm.
Once they become more competent at those seven money making activities,
Mm-hmm.
they become more confident. Their confidence increases.
Okay.
So then what happens is they start attracting their ideal customer better,
Yeah.
because now people see them as a professional. They are saying the right words. They look the part. Like I had my big backdrop up here. They look like a professional. They go to their website. Their website looks like a professional. They go to their social media. Their social media looks like a professional. So
Mm-hmm.
now their belief in them goes up, which then
Mm-hmm.
turns into the third C, which is consistency.
Okay.
They become consistent. You start consistently making sales. Your business consistently starts selling because people are consistently believing in you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to first become competent, confident, and then you begin consistency, which then what creates momentum,
Mm-hmm.
which is what everybody's trying to go after. They're trying to get momentum in their business.
Yeah. And if they're in sales of any other kind, not necessarily into networking, and they are looking for more business, more sales. So
Yeah,
and the three C's are going to bring that. So they be competent in the seven that you've told us. They're confident and consistent.
that's right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I do is I work people through that. I give a free 1 hour strategy session to anybody that wants one, and I kind of go through some processes with them, and
Mm-hmm.
then we see if there's a way to work together. And if they do, then that's great. If they not, then I can help them with other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, going through your profile, I see two terms there, and maybe you can make us understand the two terms. We have fishing and hunting. What's the difference? The description that you give to the.
Great question. One of the techniques I teach when I'm doing networking, I teach a thing called an audio business card. Have you ever heard of an elevator pitch?
Elevator pitch. That pitch that you're supposed to make under 1 minute.
Yes, 30 seconds where you're
30
saying to some,
seconds, one
yeah,
minute at
yeah,
most. Uh,
that's right. It's called a 30-second commercial or whatever. I don't use that technique because that technique is a very old school technique
okay.
and it's not very effective. I teach a
Mm-hmm.
thing called an audio business card. What an audio business card does, if I was inside of a networking event, let's say you had 20, 30 people and I had 30 seconds to say something. What I would say is what I do is I work with entrepreneurs, I work with sales professionals and coaches, and I help brand them so they can look like an expert and stand out from their competition. And I also teach them the right words to say and how to say it so they can attract their ideal customers. If you
Mm-hmm.
want more information, come over and see me and I can get you some information. And I sit down. And you know what ends up happening? Two, three, four people come and say, wait a minute, I want to know how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but what happened is what people don't know is I just created a net. I threw out a bunch of hooks and I was fishing for my ideal customer.
Okay.
But what I did was actually a system and a formula that I teach. Excuse me, that I teach people how to fish, because fishing is where you're putting the bait out there, the fish bite onto it, and then you reel them in.
Mm-hmm.
Where hunting is, I'm like, hey, Anthony, I have a business opportunity that I might want to show you. Are you open to looking at it? Do you want to come check it out? That's hunting. You're trying to go get somebody.
Okay.
See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
So most amateurs that are in business or people that are just starting out or untrained individuals, they usually are out hunting. And then if you're hunting a deer, what does the deer do if you're too aggressive? What does the deer do?
It runs faster, I guess.
They run away, right?
Hmm.
But see, with fish, what you do is you throw your hook out there and you just kind of let it sit there and it wiggles, and then
Hmm.
the fish come and then they bite on the hook, right?
Yep.
And then all you gotta do is just sit there and reel it in. It's real simple.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by fishing and hunting is I teach a technique of fishing for your ideal customer so you can serve them and help them with your products and services that they need.
Mm.
So I teach a technique of fishing versus hunting. That's what I mean by that.
Okay,
Great question.
that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. And let me ask, you have some real life stories that you've experienced along your line of business. Can you tell us the worst story that you've experienced in your business?
The worst story,
Story, yeah. Some
the worst
story,
one. Okay.
experience, or other experience.
I got a lot of challenges stories. So let me tell you, in 2009, well, it was the worst initially, but it actually ended up being a blessing in disguise. But in 2009, I was doing really well financially because 2007, 2009, that's when our real estate market in California was booming, and I was in the real estate investment space. So we were generating a huge income. We had over 100 people a week coming through our office. So I was doing very, very, very well. 2009 hit, everything stopped. We went from making 5 to 6 figures a month down to nothing a month, and we had a big office with a huge overhead every month, a lot of employees, and it was just crazy. So I had to figure out what to do. So we had to sell everything. I felt filed foreclosure on my house. We had to, file bankruptcy. We had to liquidate everything. We had to sell everything, and it was a really tough time to the point where my wife and I remember we were sitting in the parking lot, going to go sell credit repair for $100 a sale, and we had $1 to split between the two of us um, at a Wendy's, and that's all we had. We didn't have any more money, so it was a tough, tough time.
Hmm.
But I made a decision. You know what? I'm not gonna sell credit repair. That's not who I am. I need to become different. And it was so cool because right after that is when I started my coaching business. And at the same time is when God gave me the ministry of called Saved by Truth Ministry, and we started teaching the Word of God. And it was unbelievable what happened. Our business changed around. Our ministry went from me and my wife to now we teach the Bible in 100 countries all around the world, and
Hmm.
we're going to 190 countries. And we started it with zero money. You
Hmm.
know what we had? We had a big dream. I had a gigantic dream that I believed in. Yeah. So I can say that was my horror story, but if you look back, hindsight is 2020. That was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me
Yeah, it
because
happens.
I'm in the business of turning lemons into lemonade. That's
Mm.
my business.
Mm. That's
Yeah.
interesting. It's good. You remind me of Steve Jobs when he says that you can not connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you
Right.
see why you went that low in order to be prepared when everything else was just going to a standstill. So it's
Yeah.
good.
No, it was a blessing. It was the best thing that could have happened to me. I look
Mm,
back and I'm so grateful for that time.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's been that one time in your life that you've said, "Oh, I'm at the peak," and you just imagine now before that business that you told us that came down, maybe or after that, you've had some other time that you've been at the top and said, "Oh, I've made it. I'm there."
Huh. That's interesting because I can't say I've ever said I'm there, but this is what I mean. You're talking about in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so I'm a very unique specimen, I have to say, because I'm just going to throw this out there. My business does not run my life.
Mm-hmm.
My business is what I do. My ministry is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to say I'm at the peak of something, I would say right now in the ministry, I'm about as close to God as I could possibly be.
That's good.
With the exception of being in the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about as close as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I would attribute to being at a point where I'm saying I'm not there because I'm not, of course, with God yet, but I feel with my relationship with God is about as close as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say if I'm going to say I'm at the peak of something, that would be there because my business is always growing. My business is always evolving. I'm always making money. I'm always losing money. I'm spending money. I'm earning money. It's coming and going. It's just an ongoing fluid thing. And I don't have this goal to be a multi-trillionaire. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
goal.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to serve and help as many people in the world, and that's why my motto is: if you build the people will build the business, the nation, and the world.
Mm.
And my brand is I'm the mentor for the masses.
Okay.
So if I'm going to say I'm at the peak of something, it would be that. And right now, where my business is at and where my business is going is exactly where it needs to be.
Mm. That's
So that
beautiful.
was so this is the time where would be right now. I would say I'm in the most comfortable position, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also in the most inspiring position I've ever been in, and that would be right this very minute at this moment.
Mm. That's very
Yes.
very beautiful.
And
Like,
here's the coolest part.
yeah.
It's not based on how many zeros I have in my bank account.
Mm.
If I had no money in my account, if I had $1 billion in my account, you wouldn't know the difference because money doesn't define me.
Mm. You have a
So
higher calling.
yeah, my calling has nothing to do with money. Money is
Yes.
just a tool. It's just a
Yes, and
tool.
As Paul would say that I don't claim to have made it yet, but every single day
Yeah.
I'm running with the race.
Yeah, yeah. We're not talking about a church. I'm not even talking about a church. We're not
Mm,
even a church. We're a ministry. We teach the word of God. I'm a disciple of Jesus. I
yeah.
teach the word of God to whoever is willing to listen.
Mm, okay, that's good.
Yes.
I love that. So, um, you talk about two things to learn and two things to avoid. Tell us each, and then as we are nearing the end of the show, two things to learn and two things to avoid.
Yeah. Two things to learn. Okay. I'm going to keep this to business. Two things that you should learn in business. Number one, there's a thing called the 4 levels of learning. It's how your brain works.
Mm,
I don't think I have the time right now. I don't know, but to teach it. But I have actually a video that goes into it on my website, Networking Conversion Secrets, that goes into the 4 levels of learning. A
mm-hmm,
person has to learn those 4 levels because if you understand those 4 levels of learning, then you can know how your brain works, and then you can actually accomplish anything that you want to accomplish.
mm,
I teach that. If anybody would want to text me or something, I can send them some information on that because that's very, very important of
okay.
how your brain works. That's a very important thing. It's hard to teach in 10 seconds. I didn't realize you were going to ask me that question, so I would have prepared a little differently. But the 4 levels of learning, you got to understand this because I learned that when I was 18. When I learned that,
Mm-hmm.
it absolutely helped me grow and helped me help more people grow because I understand how my brain works and I understand how their brain works to learn new information.
Okay.
The problem is people just quit too soon because they just don't know.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing I would recommend, especially an entrepreneur, is to learn how to speak and communicate their message in a very simple, easy to understand way.
Mm.
Because a
Communication.
confused mind does nothing.
Communication. Communication.
Yeah, how to speak and how to communicate your message in
Mm-hmm.
a way that attracts people and gets people to say, "Wow, I want to do business with that person."
Mm. Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
those two things would be the ones I would recommend that they learn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two things that to avoid would be any substance that takes over your body and doesn't allow you to function optimally,
Mm-hmm.
function at the highest state, whether that be drugs or alcohol or online garbage that you can see. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Anything that you put in your eyes. It says the Bible says if the eyes are the lamp of the body. If your eyes
Yeah.
are good, your whole body's good.
Mm-hmm.
So being careful what we watch and being careful what we put in our body.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very important thing because if you can't have energy, if you're not physically optimized, if you put things in your body that are chemicals and garbage in, you're gonna get garbage out. That's how it
Yeah.
works.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah.
So that would
Exactly.
be one thing is to be aware of the things that you're putting inside your body.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we have that was one or two. Second thing to avoid.
The second thing to avoid would be I'm gonna say it about as blunt as I can. Be aware of the stuff that they're talking about on the news about what they talked about happened in 2019.
Mm.
do some due diligence on what's really going on. There's a website called bitshoot.com. I would recommend to really do some due diligence on what is really happening versus what's being said that's happening on the news.
Oh,
Um,
uh-huh.
it's not, they're dramatically different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would avoid anything that they want to put in your body that's going to alter your DNA. That's
Oh,
about the best way to phrase it.
really?
Anything that they say is going to put in your body
Mm.
that's going to alter your DNA, avoid it at all costs.
We'll find out that as we move on.
Yes,
or,
yes.
or we plan for another day to get educated by Stephen Gregg on that issue. So we really appreciate your presence on this episode. Thank you very much for all that you've shared. It's been quite an honor hosting you here. We are just about to sign off, but before we sign off, I still ask for some words from you. And this is usually what we say. Leave us with some few words that we will always remember. This is your chance.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Love people and use money versus loving money and using people to get it.
Mm. Love people, use money. Don't love money.
Versus use
Don't
people to
love
get it.
money and use people.
Yeah.
Now that's beautiful. And as we are signing off, where can we get to follow up with you?
Sure. I have my website, which is networkingconversionsecrets.com. So a person can go to networkingconversionsecrets.com. That's the first one. And also, if they want to connect with me, you can go to brilliantdesignsagency.com as well. Brilliant Designs Agency could really give people a little bit more insight about me as well. But those two places will be people can connect with me.
Beautiful. So for those who are listening, those who are watching, go to networkingconversionsecrets.com or brilliantdesignsagency.com and follow up with Greg, Stephen Gregg. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And we thank you.
Anthony, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes, we also thank all those who have been watching and those who are going to listen on the podcast platforms that we are going to upload this episode on. And yes, we would like to hear more stories. Come and tell us something to inspire us, educate us. We'll love that. Thank you very much. And it's me, your host, Anthony Moirore, and my guest today, Stephen Gregg, and we are saying bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.